W is a 6-star artilleryman sniper, ex-employee, and ex-reunion member who is typically only available during anniversary banners or from gaining enough pity currency to get her from the store, which is typically around 300. W has 11 years of combat experience, mostly coming from her time being a Sarkaz mercenary and working for Babel when it was still around. She stands at 165 centimeters tall and currently claims to have forgotten her birthday and birth month, though she does admit that she was born in Kazdel. She is of the Sarkaz race, though some joke about her being a cockroach due to the long red horns on her head, and how they are familiar of cockroach antennas. In our archive files and promotion record, it's noted that W was a part of an independent merc team during the Civil War in Kazdel. Said team gained notoriety for constant raids on Laterano business convoys, with the members of the merc team claiming Laterano guns as trophies or were sold for a high price in Kazdel's black market, the Scar Market. W has a few herself, most of which were confiscated during her onboarding to avoid conflict with Laterano ops, with her main weapon of choice being a heavily modified grenade launcher. After the Civil War, W was hired by Tallulah, but this was broken off in the events of Chapter 8, where she joined Rhodes Island afterwards. It's unknown what she did in the Civil War, why she joined then betrayed Reunion, and why she joined Rhodes so quickly. The file urges ops to keep their distance from W as much as possible. The second half of the first file is a classified log of an old acquaintance of W's talking. It can be essentially summarized as they'll keep tabs on W. W isn't that complex despite how many fear her, and W needs to start being a team player and not be unstable. The second file is an excerpt from Chapter 2 of the book Struggle and Freedom, titled Kazdel and the Modern History of Mercenaries. Said book is owned by W, and the author's name is abbreviated to the singular letter H. The sentence, Sarkaz should be free, is highlighted in red. To summarize the passage, mercs in Kazdel were essentially the army of the nation, with alliances and merc teams switching sides constantly. It then recalls the most recent civil war in Kazdel and how mercs played a large role in the civil war. It ends with the partially highlighted passage, quote, "Despite this, there still remain a small number of mercs who are unwilling to get shackled down, and still struggle to maintain an independent position. They believe that mercs, or rather Sarkaz as a whole, should be free." W and her squad are mostly independent from Rhodes itself and rarely spend time on the landship. When she does appear, her poor temper usually causes uproars and fights. These are usually caused by W provoking the other ops, or even her attitude, especially to the dead. Of note is that Amiya doesn't know much about W, and W doesn't care much about Amiya, but W still defers to her, always complying with what Amiya orders, even if she grumbles about it. Sometimes W can be seen standing motionless in a daze almost, in front of an empty room, or just watching Amiya as she does her duties. Every time she was observed doing this, she was never smiling. Her fourth file is another classified log, and a really long one at that, since it's almost 1,000 words. It comes from an unnamed Sarkaz boiler worker. To really summarize it, it talks about the Doctor's past and how W is involved in it. Ever since Sarkaz mercs have been showing up to Rhodes, Rhodes as a whole would eventually have to confront and or reveal the Doctor's past to them. Basically, W isn't the W of the past. She's changed, especially after what happened to the previous Lord of Fiends, Theresa. W wants something, I'm guessing revenge, but she isn't seeking it out, so maybe she has hopes for Rhodes Island and the new Doctor. The promotion record is an audio log between two people, I'm assuming W and someone else. Essentially, it seems like they're planning for something to happen in Victoria with Theresa's, which is basically just a teaser for the next arc and chapters 9, 10, 11. W is confirmed to be infected. She has a cell originum assimilation of 14% and a blood originum crystal density of 0.29 parts per liter. There are 2 notes in her clinical analysis. The first says that there's little optimism for W's condition after being in Kazdel for such a long period of time, and her misuse of military-grade originum products. The second is basically complaining about how W never complies with Rhodes inspections, or comply with anything, really. In her character art drawn by Leduc, though the original design was by Low Light for Enemy Art, W wears a white shirt underneath a black zip-up leather jacket with red arm cuffs on the short sleeves, a red interior, and 2 straps on both of her shoulders, a black one on her left shoulder, and a red one on her right shoulder that has 4 grenade pins on the ring, and the words "bang" on it. A black scarf that billows behind her, a black and red tutu skirt, black leggings with bandages below the right knee, black fingerless gloves, and black and red running shoes. She has 2 weapons on her person, technically 3. Her first weapon is the Mark 18 assault rifle on a sling behind her, which has also led fans to believing that she's the missing 5th/6th AR team member from Girls Frontline, as Low Light made the art for M4 Assault Mod M16 and RO. On another sling around her right-hand wrist is a standalone grenade launcher with foregrip, foldable stock, sights, and what may be a cylindrical magazine. It most closely resembles the M320 UGL module, though it reminds me of the Hale MGR4 from Metal Gear Solid 5, which itself is partially based on the grenade launcher from the XM29 OICW. She also has a detonator in her left hand and carries claymores and C4, but they're not shown in her art. In her voice lines, voiced by Ayana Taketatsu, who also voices Azusa Nakano in K-On!, Kirino Kosaka in Orimo, Alice Maestro in High School of Dead, Suguhara Kirigaya in SAO, Koneko Tojo in High School DD, Kei Karuizawa in Classroom of the Elite, Frederica in Bofuri, Ami Asai in Uzaki-chan, Nino Nakano, Worst Girl in Quintessential Quintuplets, Labris in P4A, Yamato, Akigumo, Yugumo, Makigumo, and Naganami in Kanko, Zenobia in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and Pravati in Nikkei. W enjoys messing with others, especially the Doctor, though she does have her moments where she has actual concerns and questions, heavily veiled in cynicism.
さっきのやつの顔は見た？バラバラにされるって分かってても何もできないあの絶望してる感じ。結構面白いと思わない？ここに帰ってくる可能性はいくつも考えたわ。彼女があの日見ていた光景をこの目に。でもまさか、あんたと一緒になんて思ってもみなかったわ。ひどいわよね、ドクター。撤退？負傷者の人数を最小限にとどめる？へえ、あんたの口からそんな命令が出るなんて、本当になれないものね。こんなあんたと肩を並べて戦うなんて、本当に不思議な体験だわ。あんたがあの日に起きたことを思い出すまでは、うまくやっていけそうね。どこへ行ってたかって？言えないわ。ケルシーがあんたを通さず、直接私に下した命令でね。嘘？へえ、あんたのあの女への信頼にはほんと脱帽するわ。まあいいわ。実はちょっと散財してきただけ。ええ、洋服よ。もうチェックも通ってる。あら、どうしたの？そんなに意外かしら。いつも肉々しそうに睨んでくるお仲間が何人かいるけど、いつ手を出してくるのかしらね。ケルシーがもう説明した？我慢している？何それ。一人一人の欲望を尊重するのも大事なことよ。さっさとかかってこさせればいいわ。ちょうど退屈してたの。私たちは昔のあんたといいお付き合いをさせてもらってたわ。だって傭兵は効率のいい戦争道具だもの。ファーストフードみたいに食べたい時に食べて、いらなくなったら捨てるだけ。過去に何があったかって？あら、私が喋りすぎるのを嫌う人もいるのよ。でも、何も覚えてないのは幸せなこと。そうでしょ？感染者を救済する？カズデルの去る数はほとんどみんな感染者よ。それに、いろんな圧力や矛盾を抱えてる。救済って具体的にどこまでできるっていうの？彼女一人の去る数も守りきれないケルシーとあんたがどうするつもりかしらね。知りたいの。 ここの単純なオペレーターたちが善良で優しい人たちが死んでいく様をその目で見て血で視界と鼻腔が埋め尽くされたらまだこんなことを言ったりやったりできるのかって。あの人の信念をこんな簡単に真似た気になってないで現実を見たらどう？あんたね、アーミヤについてるあれ、どう考えてもケルシーが何か隠してるでしょ？それにしても、よくもまあ何も覚えてないのに、周りの信頼を勝ち取ったわね。っていうより、あんたが他人を信じるって方が変か。はあ、あの二人が今のあんたを見たら、どう思うかしらね。ここってほんといろんな奴がいるのね。戦士だけじゃなくて、普通の病人でさえ千差万別だもの。あら、誤解しないで。彼らの考えになんて全く興味ないから。ただ、アーミヤはよくやってるみたいね。少なくとも、頑張ってあの人に近づこうとしてる姿。私は嫌いじゃないわ。ねえ、ケルシーとアーミヤは、今のあんたにはきっと何も言わないと思うけど、だからこそ、あんたがあのことを思い出したらどうするか、すっごく興味あるの。そんな困った顔をしないで。今はこの名前を覚えておくだけでいいわ。テレジア。そう、テレジアよ。
At E2 level 90, with max trust and potential, the additional stats from her modules will be added in their respective sections. W has 1,605 HP, 1,047 attack, 133 defense, 0 resistance, a 66 second redeploy time, 27 DP cost, and a 2.8 second attack speed. Her range is the standard range of an AoE sniper, that being 1 by 3 tiles further than a single target sniper. At max trust, she gets plus 100 attack. At max pot, she gets minus 2 DP, minus 4 seconds to redeploy, plus 35 attack, and a buff to her second talent. Her first talent, Ambush, which is unlocked at E1 and upgraded at E2, after W has been deployed for 10 seconds, she gets a 60% physical and arch dodge, as well as being less likely to be targeted by enemies, negative taunt. Her second talent, Insult to Injury, which is unlocked at E2 and upgraded at E2 Pot 4, enemies in W's range take plus 21% damage when stunned. I'm unsure if this means damage from W or if it means damage from W and other operators. W has two base skills, with one being upgraded at E2, and the other being unlocked at E2. Her first base skill, Sniper Expert Alpha, is upgraded to Patience at E2. When W is the trainer, plus 30% mastery speed. If it's Mastery 3, plus 65% mastery speed. Her second base skill, Insipid, when W is the trainer and is training to Mastery 3, plus 1 morale consumed per hour. W's first skill, King of Hearts, gains SP over time and is manually triggered. All levels start with 0 SP, with level 7 needing 19 SP to proc, and M3 needing 16. At level 7, W immediately launches a grenade, dealing 310% attack to all enemies hit, and stuns them for 2.4 seconds. At M3, it's 350% attack and stuns for 3 seconds. Her second skill, Jack in the Box, gains SP over time and is auto-triggered. All levels start with 0 SP, with level 7 needing 10 SP to proc, and M3 needing 8. At level 7, W's next attack buries a claymore that lasts 120 seconds in a deployable tile within her range. The mine will detonate when an enemy passes by, dealing 260% damage to all nearby enemies and stunning them for 1.8 seconds. At M3, it's 280% damage and stuns for 2.2 seconds. Her third skill, D12, gains SP over time and is manually triggered. At level 7, it starts with 17 SP and needs 39 SP to proc. At M3, it starts with 20 and needs 33. At level 7, W places bombs on up to 3 enemies in range, prioritizing ones with the highest HP. After a 3-second delay, the bombs explode, dealing 280% damage to the target and nearby enemies, stunning both for 4 seconds. At M3, it's 4 bombs on enemies in range, 310% damage, and stuns for 5 seconds. W has 2 modules, the first of which being her ART-X module called Mercenary's Bag, making it so that she has 110% attack when attacking blocked enemies. At module level 3, Mercenary's Bag buffs insult to injury, making it so that stunned enemies in W's range take plus 27% damage, and W recovers 1 SP when defeating an enemy. She also gets plus 210 max HP and plus 78 attack, for a total of 1,815 HP and 1,125 attack. To unlock and max out her module, you must have W at E2 level 60, have 100% trust with her, defeat a total of 80 enemies with her, 3-star Arknights Memoir DM-3, having W defeat at least 2 Sarkaz Lancers, have 12 module data blocks, 60 data patching strips, 20 data patching devices, 2 polymerization preparations, 3 bipolar nanoflakes, 4 D32 steels, and 300,000 LMD. Her second module is an ART-Y module, called Blunt Blade, making it so that W now ignores 100 defense. At module level 3, Blunt Blade buffs Ambush, making it so that after W is deployed for 8 seconds instead of 10, she gets the usual negative taunt and physical/arts dodge, and when W isn't taking damage, her attack gradually increases up to plus 20% after 16 seconds. This attack buff resets when she takes damage. She also gets plus 200 max HP and plus 85 attack for a new total of 1,805 HP and 1,132 attack. To unlock and max out her module, you must have W at E2 level 60, have 100% trust with her, use her S2 Jack-in-the-Box a total of 10 times, 3-star Arknights Memoir DM-7 deploying W and not bringing any specialist ops, have 12 module data blocks, 60 data patching strips, 20 data patching devices, 2 D32 steels, 3 bipolar nanoflakes, 4 crystalline electronic units, and 300,000 LMD. W is one side of the coin when it comes to the top AoE/artillery manned snipers, the other being Fia meta. With W focusing on stuns, delaying, and not taking damage, while Fia mainly focuses on dealing a lot of damage, but she'll be covered at a later time. As I just mentioned, W's entire fighting style focuses around stunning enemies. All of her skills stun enemies for at least a few seconds, and her first talent has her do more damage, or has enemies in her range take more damage when stunned. Having a way to stun enemies is a great way of crowd controlling them, especially when coupled with W's AoE attacks. King of Hearts, her S1 does big damage and can hit anywhere in her range. Jack-in-the-Box, her S2, is capable of placing up to 14 mines, all of which can stun and deal a fair amount of damage. And D12, her S3, does huge damage, targets high HP enemies, up to 4 of them, and stuns them. Her second module and talent are great too, as the module ignores 100 defense and buffs her second talent, which gives her 60% physical arts dodge after being deployed for a very short period of time, negative taunt, less likely to be targeted, and gives her an attack buff for not being hit, which, you kinda don't want your snipers to be hit. And now for the inevitable downsides. As I mentioned in the intro, W is only ever available from anniversary banners, and even then, it's mostly from getting 300 pity points to get her in the shop. She's been out for so long, she should really be cheaper. So, much like Chalter, the Sui siblings, and Rosmontis, you won't be seeing her often, and when you do, she'll be pricey to get. Next is the usual drawbacks of AoE snipers, that being the high DP cost and slow attack speed. Her S2 Jack-in-the-Box is randomly placed in range, meaning that if it's occupying a tile you want to deploy someone on, you'll need to retreat the mine to place the op, but that's more of a nitpick than anything. Her S3, D12, has a 3-second delay to detonation, and can be wasted on only one enemy. Her first module isn't great, and is basically just the same as that AoE guard module, where she just gets plus 10% attack against blocked enemies. Overall, I would recommend building W. The issue is, obviously, getting her. Her stuns are good and welcome when trying to delay or slow enemies. Her second module, talents, and S2/3 are good. But Fiammetta makes a decent alternative since she's more widely available, and I believe Seiza and his S2 also stun. If you don't care much about giving up, an abundance of stuns. Also, if you get Sui's Wrath in IS3, as well as other artifacts that basically increase stun duration or deal arts damage or what have you when an enemy is stunned, W is killer. Putting her on her S2 is a great way to continuously get 3k arts damage, plus whatever arts damage that they get while they're stunned. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Azure Lane videos as well. There will be a teaser out for next week's character summaries and event summary.